Hello. This sounds very weird.
Stick your head by there.
Can you picture him doing that? Tour guys.
Okay, name them. No, okay. With World War II, the Korean War, and the Gulf War. Gulf. Persian Gulf. She goes into mothballs for almost 30 years. They pull her out to send her to the Gulf War. To spend 2 more years, 1984 to 1986, and $470 million more to modernize her. If you look at the map, which is up here, this is the map of Kuwait. It has Kuwait City and Kapchi. Those are the 2 stars. The island, which is designated by the palm tree, is the island of Falata, and that's where we sent our ships. Saddam Hussein thought, they're going to invade from the Gulf. He sent all his troops up there. We did 2 bombardments from the Missouri of his troops in those cities for 2 days. And in those bombardments, this number 1 turret fired 289 rounds of those shells, of big shells that you saw on the pier. Those shells weigh anywhere from 1,500 to 2,500 pounds. That's like shooting a Volkswagen. And he would shoot at 23 miles with accuracy, 26 miles if they just wanted to get close to something. And when it hits, it makes a crater half the size of a football field. So these things, they had armor-piercing and high-explosive shells that they used. All right? So, what happens here is that this turret fires 289 rounds, and the guns could be fired independently or in salvo. The way it works, the turret sits on a barbette. The barbette goes down about 2 decks. And when I say sits on it, I mean it sits on it. If you could, get above this and lift it with your hand, that's all you have to do to take this turret off. It's not bolted to the deck in any way. Underneath, you have some berthing areas, you have some engineering areas, and then you have down on the 4th deck below, or the 5th deck below, is where they store the ammunition. In order to move those shells up to the gun deck, they have to be manhandled out of the rack. They're put into a dumbwaiter system. Dumbwaiter brings them up to the gun. It goes onto the breech, and then 6 bags of the gunpowder, which is a black powder mix, goes in with the red dot towards the back of the shell. They close the breech. They fire the gun. Takes 77 men to do this. They could do 2 rounds per minute or barrel. So the maximum firing rate amount is about 6 rounds per minute. The muzzle velocity is about 3 times the speed of sound. When the shell leaves the barrel, it will spin approximately 2.5 times. But by the time it gets where it's going, it's spinning at 4,500 revolutions a minute. If you look back there on the number 2 turret, you'll see a big earpiece sticking out. There's one on each side of the turret. Those used to be on the number 1 turret also. They are on the number 3 turret. Those were the optical scanners, which were computer aids to aiming the guns. They found out the number 1 turret was too low to the horizon, they wouldn't work, so they took them off. And they controlled the gun from the other 2 turrets. Because now we're on the surrender day. September 2nd, 1945. By this time, Frederick Dollar Roosevelt passed away. History becomes president. There you go, good guessing. That's Truman. So, when he became president, he said, you get my battleship, Tokyo Bay, you get Nimitz over there, which was a naval war, and I want Nimitz to sign for the United States Representative. Let that guy forgot to sign for the Supreme Commander. But this is what I want. So that's what happened. Here comes the Missouri steamer to Tokyo Bay. The English ship, the Duke, didn't want to be totally left out, so they set up a nice wooden antique desk that they had on board to be used as a surrender figure. It turned out, when you see the size of the dock, must have set that dock for just a couple of papers. They didn't fit on that desk, so they pushed it aside. The only other place you're going to get a table from on the battleship is the mess deck. So that's where they got the fig. They put right here where the stone was placed and this plastic commemorated. They put a green felt cloth over it, and they put a chair on each side. Partners, the series shows up about 9 o'clock. About who's in the captain's band, I sees him, says, went away. He comes out about 9:02, 9:03, something like that. Ceremony would last 20 minutes, so by 9:23 it's all done. But during that ceremony, MacArthur uses 5 pens to sign the document. He signs part of his name for each of the pens. One of them is a red color pen. So the first pen that he uses, he signs, and he gives it to General Wainwright, who stayed a prisoner in the Philippines at Grenada after he left. The second pen he sides with, he gives to General Archibald Percival, who was an English general, who was taken prisoner in Singapore. The third pen went to the archives at West Point. The fourth pen went to the archives at the Naval Academy. And the fifth pen, which was a red color pen, well, his wife's favorite color was red. So I'll give you a guess who got the fifth pen. Yes, it was his wife. Okay, now the ceremony is over. You can hear part of the speech playing in the background. About to say something to the effect, you fought in this great war. Let's put all our prejudices behind us. We need to proceed further and go on and help God help us preserve the peace. Okay? So he does that, and as he says that speech, another ray of sunlight comes out, illuminates just in Missouri. This happened obviously in January when the person was here. Well, whether prophecy, fact, fiction, you have to decide. The other thing is, the crew is very efficient, so the ceremony is over. They have 2,500 crewmen plus visiting dignitaries that they all know how to eat lunch. So they got to clean up real quick and set up for lunch. So where do you think they take the table? Back feet, this, that. Well, the captain says to the XO, we need the table with chairs. That's all got to go to the archives too. The XO comes running back down here. The chair, 2 chairs, and the tablecloth other than carpet, no, 2. So very easy to find. With table's the idea. Well, the XO's no dummy, he knows it came from the mess deck, runs down to the mess deck, gets to the officer of the mess, goes, listen, we need the table that they just used for the surrender ceremony. It's got to go to the archives. Well, he's no dummy. He goes, he looks at the officer and he goes, listen, sir, I'm setting up to feed 2,500 plus people. I don't know which table it is. It's out there in the sea. The table's already set up. So the XO knows he can't go back, the captain down the table. He looks at the officer in the mess and he goes, listen, sailor, we need that table. Well, the officer mess no dummy. Yes, sir, that table right there. So I'll bring it down myself. So they take that table, that's the table they sent off to the archives. So the only thing that we ask of you is if you're ever down in Annapolis and you get to the archives, could you please check out that table and let us know if it's the right one?
No problem.
There you go. That's how you open it, and that's how you close it. Wow. All right, all right. You're gonna break some.
I frig.
Yeah, the flag bin.
With getting all that?
All right.
Yes, yes. Bomb, those people over there, and Tomahawk, those people over there, and take a little bit off the top.
Is that thick enough? Oh.
And sanitation conditions.
Oh, you got a big room
Well, he's the doc.
with more steam.
They all have the picture of the same woman in there.
You think so?
Did you notice that? I'm telling you. Chief engineer. Look at that sink.
So you got a metal hit camera. Fuel management?
It's the, oh yeah, engineer, honey, engineer. It's the same woman, I'm telling you.
Oh.
Remetalizer system. Fuel management afloat manual. They're used books from the library. The library's gonna be pissed and not get those back.
Basic. Wow.
See?
Battleship night sleepovers. Stateroom.
Huh?
This thing. Officer's head.
Nation stations.
Armory. There. Oh, helmet. There you go.
Now this stuff. Huh?
Supply officer. The size of one blink. It's a big chain.
Okay, now, according to maps, if you'd like to visit the end of the tour, because basically our tour route.
Shipboard power.